Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Weekly Shonen Jump Breakdown for the week of May 21st, 2018. My name is Trey, this is the Full Spectrum, and let's get started. We start off this week with Kimi wo Shinryakuseyo. I was really concerned I wasn't going to be able to handle that, and I still didn't say it very quickly, but I handled it. The Encounter. Our main character is an alien, specifically a Kayzian, which means that he can turn into a little blob, and his horns, when he is in human form, are still very visible, and definitely look weird, though not as weird as some anime hair that I've seen. So, it's fine, I'll let it slide. And despite making it his entire life so far without being seen by anybody, he's spotted at the start of this chapter by Ria Aiba, and, he needs to be, because there's not a lot of a story if there's not, people that know him. It might be cool to see a series that's him just constantly having to hide it, but having another character who knows, and who doesn't know for sure, but thinks, and is trying to figure it out, that's pretty cool. So, the whole thing about this chapter is that Aiba is not sure, and she's very easily deceived, but she thinks he's an alien. And so you get a bunch of jokes over the course of the day that they spend together as she tries to figure out, is he actually an alien? If I do this, will I find something out? If I touch him in weird places, will it make him turn back into his alien form? She tries doing some of the stuff that you would do with E.T. When she first says she wants to shake hands, she holds her finger up. There's a lot of really fun jokes in here. She also accidentally figures out, or she doesn't really figure it out, but she's sleeping figures it out, that if she grabs his horn, he turns back into his alien form. And his his difficult word plan works to put her back to sleep, because she tires herself out while she's chasing after him. But nothing that he does seems to be able to stop her, and as they leave the school at the end of the day, Hajime and Aiba officially become friends as she makes another grab for his horns. I think this could be a very fun series. I will be completely honest with you. It is not really striking me in any powerful way. There wasn't really any great moments of character development that made me go, oh man, yeah, this is going to be perfect for me. But it could still be really fun. You don't have to have a lot of development to have a good show or a good manga. It helps, but you don't have to have it. And so I'm vaguely excited to see where this series goes. We still have 2 more chapters because it's a jump start. So, hey, we'll see how it goes. But it was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. After that, we have The Promised Neverland 87 Boundary. Emma gets to see Nigel in Oliver's position and puts everything together. She then tries to talk Luvis down, and Luvis is relieved to see that her will to fight is still strong. That moment where Emma says, you wouldn't have to die. And you see the look in her eye that says, oh no, she's 100% willing to kill Luvis. And will kill Luvis if he doesn't agree to this. And of course he doesn't agree to that. He tells her their only option is to be in conflict. That he wants to kill her, and then wants her friends to kill him. Wants to go out in a glorious hunt. And so there's no option. He closes his watch, and Emma signals a bunch of machine guns to all fire on him. At the end of this chapter, we get to see this amazing moment where Luvis caught the bullets, and he's just holding in his claws that don't really match up just this heap of bullets. We also get to see Violet telling Lucas about the Nameless Man, and that Adam is gone. So things are getting intense. Things are getting fun. Oh man, Luvis. This is going to be a really interesting fight. Because Luvis is so far above Emma's level, just on terms of raw strength, but Emma has a plan. They've rigged this whole town to be able to hunt Luvis. That's why she brought him there. And Nigel still has the gun that can break masks. Honestly, I think Nigel's probably going to die. But, man, this is going to be a good fight. After that, we have Robot Laserbeam 57 catching up. Genro hits a little bit too hard and loses a swing because of it. Robo is pushing himself too hard, but he gets a hole in one. And I like the dichotomy of the two of them getting too fired up and it causing problems for one and working for the other one, but causing problems in the long run. Because everyone begins to notice that Robo is wearing himself out. Tomoya stuffs some fried bread in his mouth to bring him back. And there's this fun moment where Robo's just like, huh? What? Oh, this is good. And then Tomoya reminds Robo what it means to be a pro. That he has to be able to make it to the end of the match. It won't, no matter if they win or lose, it won't matter if he gives out in the middle of the match. So, Robo, has to try and hold himself back, but still needs to concentrate as much as he can so that he can continue to win. Which I think is really cool. It's a fun dichotomy, not just in the characters, but also in Robo's mindset, which I'm sure will come back later to be very interesting. After that, we have Momiji no Kisetsu 2, Your Hand. Man, Sakura was a good big brother. We also get to see Momiji's on TV. And that Ichigo comes to pick him up, but then winds up enjoying a meal, specifically his meal, for breakfast instead, and tries to spin the fact that she's eating his stuff into lessons for shogi. They then go to take on the test, and we see that Watanuki is also taking the test, and is fired up to beat Momiji. And Momiji has this moment where he says, haven't you beaten me enough? But what's cool is Watanuki wants to fight him again. He wants to test himself against Momiji's skill, now that he's actually seen what Momiji's capable of. Because the person he was fighting before was just a replica of Sakura's style. Now he's fought Momiji's style, and he wants to fight it again. And that's really cool, in my opinion. We also get to see that Kiora is somebody who fought Sakura a lot in the past, and he has to break up a fight between Chidori and Momiji before it can begin. So then he sets them up against each other. And they do square off, and Chidori believes that he's gotten into Momiji's head, and just keeps taunting him, telling him about how, when you lose to me, are you going to beat me up too? Are you going to hit me too? Your brother wasn't even that good, and all kinds of like little trying to chip away at his mindset. Only to find that Momiji counters him at every bend. Chidori winds up conceding because he can't get through, and Momiji tells him that he doesn't punch, but headbutt. His hands are for shogi, his life to become Ryo. And I thought this was a really fun chapter. Getting to see the difference of kid Momiji and what he used his hands for, and adult Momiji and what he uses his hands for. Icho telling Momiji that he needs to focus on defense because that's his forte, and to become, a great defensive player. This was a really fun chapter, and I liked it. And I predict that Chidori will wind up becoming a main character. He got a lot of time in this chapter dedicated to him, so we'll see. After that, we have Black Clover 157, Fall or Save the Kingdom. We see that Licht not only blocked the attack with his sword, but that he it seems like absorbed it, and was able to condense all the mana in the area to return it at Asta and Yuno, who try to defend, but are driven through the floor and into the ground below the hideout. Licht then abandons Asta's grimoire, saying that it's not his anymore anyway, and the elves all gather together and fly the base away. The remaining Magic Knights gather as well, and Nozzle recognizes Asta's hard work, and uses one of his items, his magic items that he has, that only royals have access to, this level, to help heal everybody. He's impressed by the fact that Asta was able to get Mereoleona out of there. And Mereoleona is alive, but she's badly beaten up and is unconscious. They don't expect her to wake up anytime soon. Then we find out that mages from all over the country are being taken over by the elves. And Nozzle is determined that they will fight and they will save the Clover Kingdom, even if they have to kill their former friends. And this is when Noelle dives in. And this is a really fun bit of character development too. Because Noelle dives in to defend Luck and say that Luck must have been fighting back because she's still alive. And the elf that had taken over Luck's body could have killed her. But she believes that he didn't because Luck was still fighting back and saved her. And so they'll save the country and their friends. And Nozzle seems to accept that for now, which is huge for him because he wouldn't give Noelle the time of day before. But he seems to accept that for now. Now, there very well could still be a chance where Nozzle decides that he needs to, kill somebody to save the kingdom. And that's not the wrong choice. But now that we've proven we can save them, it is a difficult choice. Also, I just want to point out, everybody freaking out when they saw Yuno because they thought he'd been taken over by an elf too, and Yuno just being like, nah, I'm fine. I'll deign to answer your question was really cool. I thought that was a really fun touch. Everybody who, in the discussion threads, was expecting Yuno to pull a Sasuke with all this, has been, hopefully, put to rest on that. Because Yuno is definitely still Yuno. After that, we have My Hero Academia 183, Festival all day long. I wish we could see that entire crossover play, because the little bit that we got to see is amazing. Also, we get to see Deku getting a talking to from All Might, with All Might telling him that at least, being late's not the problem, but at least check your phone. At least bring your phone. Check your phone now. You'll be surprised how many people were worried about you. And then Hound Dog gets upset and also comes in to talk to him and is really angry because one of his students got hurt and because Deku didn't call for help. And so he then throws Deku to his friends and then jumps on All Might to be able to complain to All Might about it. And we get a fun little moment from Ecto that says that Hound Dog only stops using words when he gets really upset. So we get to see how much Hound Dog actually does care about the students. I mean, we always knew he did. He's a teacher. But it's easy to forget when you see what looks like a rabid dog man, that this man is still just a human being with a quirk that made him a dog man. And he, really cares about his students. They're his responsibility. We also get to see Eri excitedly telling Deku what happened in the concert. And that is only matched by Mirio mimicking her the whole time. So when Eri throws her hands up, Mirio does as well, and then when she holds him out to the side, Mirio does too. And it's just little touches like that, man. Mirio's still the best character in this whole manga. But all of that is surpassed by Bakugo's victory face when the dissenters apologize. He's so smug about it. He's so pleased that they gave up and that he was able to get through to them. We also see Mineta whipping everybody back into shape. Getting them all back to work because he doesn't want to miss the pageant. Because, he's Mineta and there's going to be a beauty pageant going on. And there's going to be girls there, and so he's got to be there. We see that Nejire wins after an amazing display. And I mean, the other girls did good too, don't get me wrong. But Nejire's floating down from above like a fairy. That did the job for just about everybody in the audience. We also see a bunch of different events, and everybody seems to be having a blast. We get to see Todoroki and Ida in one of those little cardboard standees taking pictures, and we get to see Bakugo doing a sports competition grab, and there's a ton of little stuff going on, and in the middle of all this is this one panel of Deku cooking. I'm like, what is he cooking for? Is there some kind of cooking event? Are they having shokugekis in My Hero Academia? No, that's not what's going on, but that would have been cool. But actually what's happening is that Deku was making candied apples for Eri because he remembers her asking about candied apples, and there weren't any candied apple stalls. And Eri at first seems a little hesitant, but Aizawa tells her that she'll see everybody again soon. And so she takes it and is really happy. And then she and Mirio leave. And we then hard cut to Gentle and La Brava, as Gentle is being interrogated by the police. And Gentle is just not giving them anything, really. Telling them still that he brainwashed La Brava, even though it's very clear to them that she's just in love with him. And then they figure out that he's in love with her. And there's this really cool moment where the officer is telling him that, at least you realized your mistakes early. There's still time to fix everything. And Gentle is shaking. Now, we don't know if he's shaking out of anger, because he wants to get back to his life of crime, or if he's shaking because he agrees and knows that this is his chance. And he's having to make a tough decision. We're just really not sure. But it sure doesn't seem like he's completely given up. But he does take some tea when they offer some tea. He wants black tea and they don't have it, but, still. He'll take some tea. So I really hope this is a turnaround for Gentle and he winds up becoming a good guy Because I think it'd be really, really cool if Gentle wound up being a teacher at UA. I don't think it's going to be an easy thing for him to do. He'd have to become a hero first and then become a professional hero and get his provisional license. But if he did, I think that'd be a really cool turning point for his character. I think there's a lot he taught Deku a lot. I think there's a lot he could teach the younger generation. But, we'll have to wait and see. For all we know, he still is a villain at the end of all this. And still goes off, breaks free with La Brava, and then the two of them, continue their capers and just don't ever come near UA again. There's no way to know at this point, but just saying, if he becomes a teacher later on, I called it. After that, we have Food Wars 263, the new Totsuki Institute. We get to see everybody rushing forward, only to see Arina scolding Soma. He tells her that he knew she could do it, though, and that makes her stop. It was this really fun moment that I believe had been parodied in some fan art before this, as somebody called it, of her being upset that he put her in that position. But when he tells her that he knew she could do it, her immediate response is, well, of course I could, as she blushes. And, that ship has sailed. We talked about it at the time, but there are no other ships in the water now. It is just Soma and Arina out there when it comes to Soma's ships. We see Ishiki telling Tsukasa when he's, trying to figure out what happened and how did they get so strong and how did he and Rindo lose. Ishiki telling him that, he's not going to try and say exactly what happened, but to him, Arina and Soma were the ones having the most fun cooking. And you get to see Rindo look at him with a blush because she clearly wants the same thing for them. Because she wants the same thing for the two of them. And then Tsukasa blushes, which makes it seem like he does too. We also get to see the resistance, taking the prize as Azami leaves wordlessly, beaten. And I don't think this is the end of Azami. I think we'll definitely see more of him. But for now, this is all we get. Then the Resistance becomes the new Council of 10. And Arina asks Soma to take the first seat. Now, I don't think any of us saw this coming. I think we expected... Where'd you stop, sir? I'm trying to record. I think we expected Arina to be the first seat, and then Soma to be, the second seat. And, maybe have a Shokugeki where they try to figure out who's actually the best. But not only is Soma the first seat, when Arina's grandfather asks Soma who, as the new first seat, who the new dean should be, he chooses Arina. And demands that if she won't take it, he won't take first seat. This is super clever from Soma for multiple reasons. The first being, she can't take his first seat from him if she's not applicable to be able to take a seat as the dean. The second being that, as he declares in just a second, he will make her say his cooking is good. That is a promise. And now he has as much access to be able to do that as he needs. He can go see her whenever he wants as the first seat to be able to make her try his cooking until she finds something that, is good. Now, there's a couple of really cool things about this, because we all know what her saying his cooking is good means, and she knows what her saying his cooking is good means, because she blushes, and it seems like Soma knows too, which means they're both in on the ship as well. But also, when we get the full body shot of the two of them, when he first declares her as dean, we also get to see that she is now wearing her headband around her upper arm, just like Soma. And of course we get, the big fun moment at the end of the chapter, where Soma, now the new first seat of Totsuki Academy, the Totsuki Institute, decides to challenge everybody in the room to try and take his first seat away from him. And people are already lining up. So I think this will be really cool. I think that Tsukasa and Rindo will probably wind up back on the Council of 10. Though they might be third and fourth, or fourth and fifth. I don't think they'll be quite as high up as they were before. But I think they'll definitely come back. But not for a little bit. I think they're going to, have a little mini training arc or something as they go learn what it means to cook with fun and passion again. But this was a really solid chapter. I'm excited for where Food Wars is going next, because now that we don't have to worry about any dumb expelling stuff, and Soma's the first seed, we can move into some cooler stuff, I think. We know that there's some underground cooking mafias, as dumb as that phrase sounds, and I love it. We know that there are different organizations that are out there trying to do exactly what Azami's trying to do, or was trying to do. We know that Azami's probably not done yet. There's a lot more that could still happen in this series without it having to end right away. And we did not, at the end of this chapter, get the little thing saying next week's the finale, which means, as far as we know, Food Wars will continue. And I'm excited about that. I've really grown to love Food Wars, despite having a slump in the middle around like chapter 180 or so, where I just was not feeling it anymore. It's definitely grown on me since then, and I'm loving it. After that, we have Dr. Stone 58, Wave of Science. We get to see Senku move into the final stage of the cell phone plan, putting the components together. Now, of course, to do that, they have to gather the last remaining components they need. And Kaseki is a bit surprised when he sees the Hickman pump they have to make. Gin tries to taunt him, but the old craftsman wants something else. A hand slap. Like the one that Chrome had got. Which, of course, all wound up being a front so that Kaseki could work on the Hickman pump and free Senku up for his other work. And although Kinro thinks that, he's got it figured out and nobody else did, everybody saw through it except for Chrome. Chrome didn't see through it. The kids decide to work on the wire, the gold wire they still need, and everybody else is left to work on the plastic. They need coal for the next step, which is perfect because the villagers are getting cold and the winter's coming, and Senku overhears a comment that, hopefully nobody dies this winter to the cold. And so they make a bunch of stoves and install them into every house so that everybody's warm, which of course solves the freezing problem, but also gives them the coal chips they need. The former chief then finally realizes that Senku is making the village better with science and making it a better place to live, and tells him that he was the right man to inherit the chief's throne. Even Gin and Ruri get to help with making manganese batteries, which is really cool. Getting to see Ruri doing some stuff again is nice. And then with the individual tasks completed, we have radio waves, and the dumb writing on the front just says Senku's phone. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty good. This was a fun chapter. After that, we have We Never Learned 63. After a dream, X responds to a certain form. Yuiga is failing in swimming. It's just all there is to it. And so Takizawa asks somebody to teach him. And the entire swim team looks to Takamoto, because they're all a bunch of shippers, just like us. Best Girl then shows up, and Takizawa leaves her the class, so she gets changed. It turns out Uruka is absolutely terrible at teaching people how to swim, so Kirisu has to get into the pool and grab his hands, which makes everybody go, oh! She then explains that it's okay to be afraid of the water, to be afraid of the unknown, to be afraid of the depths and not being able to breathe. And that you have to be able to accept that fear, make it a part of you, basically, and helps him to swim. This is a great life lesson for Yuiga already, because he's not the bravest person, but it also lets us see some insight into the way that Kirisu teaches. She wants her students to be able to accept their flaws, but focus on their strengths. That is probably the best life advice that you can give somebody who's super uncertain. Accepting your flaws is one of the hardest things you can do. And then learning your own strengths and building on those and focusing on those. Making that a skill set that you can have access to at any time when you need it. Like, that's great. And it's funny that teaching them how to swim is the way that we get to really capitalize on that lesson from her. Because even just a couple chapters ago, when we got to see everything with, the interviews and trying those, we got to see focusing on the strength, but now we get to see accepting the weakness. And I think it's just really cool to get a better feel for how Kirisu teaches. And of course, her phrase of focus on me is also really powerful for what Yuiga's doing, because it lets him keep his mind off of his fears, even though he knows they're there, by focusing on what she's saying, on her voice, and, how she leads him. But I really liked that part. She then, of course, having gotten 5 meters in of the 25 he needs to swim, hands it over to Takamoto. And, she takes over. And we don't get to see that because the focus on this chapter is not of Takamoto and Yuiga's relationship. Or either of their feelings. It is on Takamoto and Kirisu. And Yuiga is just a gateway for that to happen. And so, in the shower, Takamoto decides to ask for advice for herself on her own worries from Kirisu. And Kirisu tells her not to worry about trying to be calm, not to try and counteract her own weaknesses, but instead to seize the opportunities as they arise. Again, to capitalize on her strengths and to accept her weakness. And that gets through to Takamoto. That hits her like a hammer. The next day, Takamoto greets Kirisu after both Furuhashi and Ogata have shied away from her and thanks her. And Yuiga smiles to see someone else appreciate Kirisu the way that he does. And, all told, I think this chapter, it's not the best We Never Learned chapter when it comes to, progression in the harem. But it's probably the best We Never Learned chapter when it comes to getting a feel for Kirisu's teaching method and what it's going to do for Takamoto in the future. Because honestly, I think she's going to definitely capitalize on seizing the opportunity. She's going to remember this lesson, and it's going to be important to her. I could see this moment coming back many times throughout the course of the story. For Takamoto, at least. Also, this was a great chapter. I really loved it. Finally, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V 34, Challenge the Legends. Yuzu comes to, heads back to the base. She saw Yuya's memories. She gotta talk about them. We also find out from Eve that Yuto is Yuya's tragic guardian. He summons Dark Anthelian Dragon, which, just a little side note here, I accidentally spelled Dark Anthelian Dragon as Derek Anthelian Dragon, and almost said Derek and had to reread it as Dark, despite the fact that I'm still looking at it reading Derek on my notes. So just wanted to throw that out there so you guys know that if you saw a little curve of my lip there, that's why. But he summons Dark Anthelian Dragon, and then there's this really cool mechanic that I really like called Oru, that, because I haven't read Arc V from the beginning, I guess I missed out on it at some point. And he can spend an Oru and overlay unit, I guess, to have a monster's attack and increases life points and attack by that amount. That's also a really cool effect. It's really nice effect. Because he has a limited number of those, but he can do that twice. Also, it makes it indestructible during that turn, which is less cool. That's a little too OP at that point. And he uses it twice so that he can survive this turn. Also, were he to be able to attack with no defense being made, he would win. But he knows that Eve is not going to just let him do that. So even though he does attack, she also uses an Oru effect, which keeps her in the fight. Meanwhile, Yuya checks out the Atom Factor in his own mind, which freaks Yuri and Yugo out to the point that they chase after him. But Yuya awakens to his memories and looks sad, but accepts them. Eve uses Trilogig's effect, who returns thanks to Dark Hope's effect after Trilogig was destroyed, and drops Yuto's life points down to 2,500. Eve's life points then go up to 6,000. As Yuzu appears. Everybody's gathered in one place now, and Eve goes to reveal the truth a final time, but this time Yuya answers for her, and explains that the four of them, Yuya, Yuto, Yuri, and Yugo, were brothers. So, there's a couple things I like about this. The first thing is that, yes, I know we're going to finish this duel, but it looks like for a minute that, maybe we don't have to? That, this duel could be canceled? Because they might wind up working with Eve. I'm pretty sure we're going to finish the duel. But it's kind of nice that, hey, for a second it looked like we might not have to finish a duel in Yu-Gi-Oh! Also, I really thought when Yuzu got there, after, obviously in my notes, I have all their names written down and I had to write down their names after going Yuto, Yuya, Yuri, Yugo, Yuzu. I was like, oh man, Yuzu's going to be another part of his personality that's separated into its own body. And, like, it's going to be revealed they were all family this whole time. No, she just has a very coincidental name. The four of them are brothers. But, like, of the things it could have been, it's pretty cool. Like, it's not bad, you know? Of all the different ways it could have gone, I thought it was fun. I thought it was cool having that happen, you know? But finally, we'll go with a lightning round. Kimi wa Shinryakuseyo won the encounter. This was fine. I'll give it a dead even. I didn't necessarily love it, but I also didn't necessarily hate it. Thought it was enjoyable. I will definitely read more, because there'll be at least 2 more chapters in Jump, and I'm looking forward to that. But all told, it was completely fine, serviceable, and did the job. After that, Promised Neverland 87 Boundary. This was a fun chapter. Luvis catching all the bullets at the end was really cool. Getting to see that Lucas and the Nameless Man may be back connected again soon. Very excited, very hyped. Robot Laserbeam 57 catching up. This was a fine chapter. Tomoya pulling Robo back, giving him, back resolved to the way he was, and Robo working himself too hard. This will definitely come back in the future. Thought that was really cool. And, that moment where Tomoya just stuffed that fried bread into his mouth. Really liked that. That was fun. Just seeing him catch him by surprise like that and bring him back that way. Momiji no Kisetsu 2, Your Hand. 2 thumbs up. Really solid. Absolutely love this chapter. Really like this series. Looking forward to more. Loving Momiji. Loving Icho. Chidori was cool. Shogi's great. Looking forward to more. Black Clover 157, Fall or Save the Kingdom. I thought this was a really fun chapter. Getting to see that Licht is just infinitely stronger than everybody else. But also getting to see Nozel accept Asuka. And then having, Nozel accept Noelle. And Nozel clearly being determined to kill if he needs to. I really like Nozel. So this was a great chapter, in my opinion. Also, Kirsch, even when bloodied, I'm still beautiful. It's yes, Kirsch. Yes, you are. My Hero Academia 183, Festival All Day Long. 2 thumbs up. This was a great chapter. Hound Dog, Deku cooking, Eri smiling, Mirio copying, Bakugo grinning. Really solid chapter. Absolutely loved it. Food Wars 263, the new Totsuki Institute. 2 thumbs up. New first seat, new dean, new everything. Tsukasa and Rindo, 2 thumbs up. Dr. Stone 58, Wave of Science, 1 thumb up. Kaseki getting that hand slap. And then, the rest of the chapter was pretty good as well. Everybody putting together the cell phones. And the former chief finally admitting to Senku that he was the right man for the job. Thought that was really cool. We Never Learned 63, After a Dream, X responds to a certain form. Really solid chapter. You thought I was going to give 1 thumb because I only had 1 thumb up at first, but it's 2. I thought this was a really fun Kirisu chapter. I really, really, really liked her interactions with Takamoto, and I'm looking forward to more. This was a great chapter. And then finally, Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V 34, Challenge the Legends. 1 thumb up of all the ways that Yuya's brothers' personalities could have gone. Being revealed that they were 5 brothers all stuffed in 1 body is probably the best way it could have gone, in my opinion. Because it could have easily been, there are aspects of your personality that broke off because you were subjected to terrible trauma. It's no, the fact that they're all, were other actual people before makes it a lot easier for me to believe. For some reason. Suspension of disbelief, I guess. But hey. All told, this has been a fun week. I really enjoyed Jump this week. I'm looking forward to more next week, of course. Remember to, I've been Trey. Haha. I've been Trey. This has been The Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that Jump has to offer.